Thank you for tuning in, and welcome to Errant Update. I know it's not Monday, it's pretty damn Tuesday, and that is because I am not a genius when it comes to tech, and I managed to lose all the footage I did yesterday. But that actually might turn out to be a good thing, because I was ranting quite a bit, getting off track and stuff like that, and I imagine the episode would have been way too long had I not have to do a take two actually. Anyhow, as you might notice, I'm still playing around with the format a little bit, kind of wanting to explore what I want to do with Errant Update as a show, and I think we're getting closer to what I like. So from now on, I will be sorting out stuff into segments, so that you can always look up here and know where we are at, what we are talking about. And I want to add a news aspect to the show. So even though I once said I would never just inform you of stuff that you could find other places on the web, I have to go back on that, because actually I think it could be really funny to talk a bit about new releases and stuff too. But the first thing I want to get into today is a segment called Army Update, and it might change name from week to week, so sometimes it will be Hobby Update, but I think this segment will be there every week from now on and until, if not the end of time, then at least for the foreseeable future. And the point of this segment is that I want to show off stuff that I've been doing that I have not done on camera. So stuff that I painted up and which was not done as a tutorial or just regular how far am I painting up this army or doing this project. This have a dual purpose, of course, because not only will it give you an idea of what I actually have to work with when I do battle reports, it will also keep me on my toes, because if I'm sitting Sunday afternoon and I'm like, damn, I don't really have anything for the hobby update tomorrow or the army update tomorrow, then I'll know that I've been slacking and I need to step up my game, and thus I'll get more miniatures done, and that is a good thing. So this week's army update, we're looking at the Sleeping Bears Necrons, and while we're looking at them, I'll try to talk a bit about the story behind that army and how it came to be. So let's go do that now. So, funny story about this army is many years ago, when Lesva and I decided to start playing Warhammer Fantasy again, Sleeping Bear talked about how he would like to start too, but he didn't know how to paint the miniatures, and we were like, oh no, that's no problem, we'll teach you. So I went and bought my first Bretonnians, starting with their battalion box, and he bought the Kimry box. And we were sitting at my place, and I was trying to teach him how to paint, or rather, by starters, to assemble minis. And after like half an hour, I could just tell by looking at his face that this was not something he enjoyed, and the result was, well, thereafter. So that army basically just became the bits box, ensuring we never needed skulls for our bases, pretty much. Then Ronan talked me back into to Warhammer 40k during 7th edition, and I was talking to Sleeping Bear, and as you might have noticed from the Knight Errant episodes, he is really into the lore of 40k, and were like, oh, it's such a shame that I could never paint up an army. I was like, well, let's see if we can do something about that, and before I knew it, I had offered to paint an army for him. So this army actually started with me, Ronan, and Sleeping Bear sitting down. Sleeping Bear cleaning bits, Ronan and I first assembling and then painting. And during the first session, we started early in the afternoon and finished about 4 o'clock in the morning. we had painted up these guys, this lord, these 2 units of warriors, this little boomboat, and the Ghost Ark, which is at Ronan's place right now. And then the whole Canoptic Harvest over there I painted up in an evening because Sleeping Bear needed it for a tournament, still in 7th edition. And everything else I painted up over the course of a couple of days leading up to Ashes of Ortungard, where Sleeping Bear needed Immortals and Deathmarks. So that is how... and the characters and the big boomboat I painted up leading up to last weekend, where we needed them for a few games. So yeah, quick overview of the army. We have at this point 20 warriors, and I really like the blue tone to them, especially the tone to the metal. That was Ronan's idea, and we've been sticking with that. And then we have 2 5-man squads of Immortals, one with each of the weapon options. We have the Sword and Board Lich Guards, I believe they're called. The Boomboat, or Doomsday Ark and Annihilation Barge. Isn't that the names? Anyway, Ronan did that one, so that's why the armor is a bit different, because I couldn't remember exactly what he did to it. We have a Nightbringer without the extra scarabs on the base, because because I think it looks silly when you it's like the model is already having a curve, and then it has another curve and another curve, and with the scarabs it's just it became too much. We have a collection of characters. Finecast at its finest. I've been swearing a lot about these, using plastic bits from other kits to actually make them go together. Been Gauze, Kit Bashed Cryptic character from Ortungard. The Deathmarks, 20 Scarab bases I believe, and Speeder. And the 6th Wraith with no guns. The Speeder is magnetized, so we can change it out to have its gun or not. So that's the army right now. What I have on the table, making for it, is some, what do you call the... I think these are the Lich Guard, right? So Lich Guards with halberds, and then the others would be the Praetorians, and with the sword and pistol layout. Another 10 warriors, and a stalker, the big spidery walker thingy. And then still in boxes we have a flyer. Not sure what loadout Sleeping Bear wants that to be. And from eBay I picked up 6 destroyers and a monolith that is on their way, and 20 really badly painted warriors that I want to convert into flayed ones. And and finally we have a box of 3 tomb blades, and I hope to get my hands on some more of those on eBay. So that's the army and the expansion plan for it. Be sure to check the battle reports with Sleeping Bear to see the army in action. So back to the studio. Next week, I think we'll be taking a proper look at the Dark Angels and where they're at the moment. So tune back in for that. Next up, new segment also called News from Games Workshop. And the point of this segment is, as the title might suggest, as this is a Monday show, I figured it was simply too good an idea to pass. To go in, have a look at the pre-orders, and talk a bit about them. So let's have a look at that. Starting with Forge World, this week's release is more Custody stuff and some more Sisters of Silence upgrades. And while I think the Sisters of Silence upgrades are actually pretty cool, I like the idea of Forge World kits giving more weapon options. I am dead tired of Custodians, especially now that if you go to the community site, you can see that they are getting transport flyer now too. And to me, that's just not the point of custodies. They're not supposed to have terminators, grav tanks. Um, yeah, actually, even I think even the dreadnought they got in their Talons of the Emperor box was too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, they look good, they look really good, but in my mind, they just don't fit into the lore at all. Custodians for me are the basic guys we got in the first plastic unit that was in the Burning of Prospero box, I believe. And while these are gorgeous miniatures, they have no place in the 40k or 30k universe in my mind, because in the lore, a custodian is a custodian. They're the best of the best. There is not a super custodian anywhere, because no such animal. We covered the best of the best. Don't They're not the best of the best of the best, sir. Hashtag Man Black. Um, so while they look lovely, I think it is really a shame to expand upon a force that is only losing credibility the more you expand on it, because now it's just, hey, custodians are selling, let's make more custodians. And that is not something you will hear often from me. I mean, I understand that they're a company, they need to make money, and I love it when they expand on ranges that we as players want to see, but stop. Instead of making custodians, make Primaris resin upgrades, or make, I don't know, how about getting around to all the legions in 30k that's been needing attention, or jump right back into to the specialist games. Forge World are awesome at doing specialist game stuff, right? So that's Forge World, and I think the models are gorgeous, and I really like the Sisters of Silence upgrades. I think that's a perfect idea to give them weapon options, because from what I've have of experience with them in the novels, they are it's not like with the custodian spear. They can basically equip any weapons. The point of them are that they're the null maidens, and let's stop it at that. I'm glad there is no jump pack sisters or Terminator sisters or stuff like that. That would annoy the hell out of me. Because then they should really go do Sisters of Battle, right? So yeah, that's Forge World. Over at Regular Games Workshop, we have another week of Errant. You really need to play Age of Sigmar, and another week of I know. I'm not getting any less tempted by this, because Mother Nurgle, my wife, loves her Nurgle demons, and they are apparently not only viable but also a very supported army, getting this fantastic HQ choice, even if the internet has been whining about it. I think it's lovely, and I think it fits the aesthetics of Nurgle perfectly. But then again, I always loved the cartoonish, silly aspect of Nurgle, of Ancient rather, and Nurgle miniatures with the huge faces and the small body and the thin limbs and huge hands, and I think actually they're moving back in that direction. Also, with all the cheap ways to pick up Sigmarines now, I'm actually starting to seriously consider getting an Age of Sigmar army, and making it Stormcasts, because that would be a hobby challenge if I ever saw one, because I really don't like them. And I think it would be really fun to force myself to to make them into something that I would like. Excuse the background sound. My son is having a day home from kindergarten today, because that is cozy to do once in a while when you have the time. This model, for instance, I actually kind of like, with exception of the boob armor, because that just doesn't really make sense. But I think I could paint that up to be leather couriers, and the fur and stuff makes me think if I replaced all the stupid death masks with Space Wolf heads, the ones without bionic, obviously, and they have all this pelt, and if I painted the armor a dark transition color in some non-metallic metal or something like that, maybe exchange some of their more over-the-top weapons with fantasy weapons from the bits box, then I think I could actually make a Sigmarite army that I would really enjoy painting up, and yeah. Oh, but I am not about to start Age of Sigmar right now because I simply don't have. I mean, money is one thing. The solution of making a Nurgle and a Sigmarite army would make it cheaper, but then there is the matter of having the time needed to get into it. And I do have quite a few 40k armies that I need to get done, right? That was the news from Games Workshop this week. The new White Wolf will be covered in next week's episodes because I want to have it in my hand when we talk about that. Sorry, there's a 3-year-old waging war in the background. Anyway, the last segment is the last segment is this week on Errant painting, and as usual, that is where we go over the various shows that are coming up this week. And tomorrow, Wednesday, for Errant painting, I want to show you how I do the Necrons we just looked at. So we're going to paint up a bunch of warriors. It's a really, really quick and easy way to get them done and make them look a little different from the usual stuff. Thursday, we're going even deeper into Necron territory with a nice battle report between myself and Sleeping Bear. We played it this weekend, and it was a lot of fun, and I think we actually got a pretty good result from it. Also, there will be some post-game show, and after that, there will be the footage made for a battle report that, let's just say, one that didn't make it. But we did learn some stuff, and there was some useful conclusions from that failed battle report, actually. So we'll upload that all in the same day. That will be a ton of content for that day, and a lot of 8th edition impressions, some tactic talk, some army expansion talk. Yeah, generally I think that will be quite good. For Friday's hobby tip, same as the past few weeks. If no suggestions pop up, I'll do a base because I love doing the basing videos. It's a lot of fun. Night Errant is Saturday and is Night Errant is Saturday and is once again Lesfar, Sleeping Bear, and I. So I've noticed that people seem to really enjoy the talk when there are 3 of us because it keeps the conversation alive, and or blah blah blah. So we'll probably stick to that format for the foreseeable future whenever possible. Though of course I really need to get Ronan and some of the other guys out to do some Night Errant too. And to answer the question you all been thinking, to answer the question that's been on everybody's mind, I don't know when we will have another episode of Mother Nurgle. They'll come when they come. Let's just keep it at that. So with this slightly abrupt episode coming to a close, I'd love to give a huge hug and thanks to my Patreons, because you guys are awesome, and you make these upgrades to the channel possible. You keep me with fresh Vallejo to put on the models. Um, Allow me to spontaneously shop sharpies to test out and stuff like that. Content materials that would otherwise not be possible, as I would have to focus my limited budget on the armies that I'm doing. Also, a quick last note about Patreon: the $5 monthly support, I realized, were quite a boring pledge level, so to say. So I'm changing that one up to be that if you give $5 or more, I will paint up a miniature in one of my warbands or armies or whatnot, and name it either after you or name it in accordance with what you would want it to be named. But the idea is I'll name one after you. So, for instance, our top donator, Martin, will have an Imperial Knight named after him once I get around to paint it up. And yeah, that's all from me for today. See you tomorrow for Errant painting, and stay tuned for tons of content this week. Until next time, take care, and bye bye.